Have you ever wondered who the last queen of Egypt was? Who was the woman so powerful, so iconic, that her name is still known all over the world today? You might think of a beauty, an ancient ruler, or even a lover of famous Roman leaders. But Cleopatra was all of that, and much more. She was a brilliant strategist, a skilled diplomat, and a leader who fought to keep her country alive in a world full of danger. Today, we're diving deep into the life of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Let's start at the beginning. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC in the magnificent city of Alexandria. She belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, a family of Greek origin that had ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years. But Cleopatra's bloodline wasn't Egyptian. Her ancestors were Macedonian Greeks, and they had taken control of Egypt after Alexander the Great's death. Despite this, Cleopatra became the first member of her family to learn the Egyptian language. She was determined to connect with the people she would rule, and that made her different from her ancestors. When Cleopatra was just 18 years old, her father, King Ptolemy XII, died. The throne was supposed to pass to her, but things weren't that simple. Egypt was in a state of chaos. There were struggles for power, both inside and outside the royal family. Cleopatra's younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, was supposed to rule with her, but he was manipulated by his advisors, who wanted to control Egypt for themselves. This is where Cleopatra's intelligence and charisma came into play. She wasn't just a pretty face. She was a master of politics and knew how to win people over. But her first challenge was regaining control of her throne, and that's where a famous Roman general, Julius Caesar, came in. Around 48 BC, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria, and Cleopatra saw an opportunity. She knew that in order to save Egypt, she needed an alliance with Rome. But how could she convince one of the most powerful men in the world to support her? Well, Cleopatra wasn't afraid to think outside the box. Legend has it that she had herself smuggled into Caesar's palace in a rug. She unrolled the rug in front of him, revealing herself, and Caesar was immediately struck by her intelligence, her beauty, and her confidence. That moment marked the beginning of a powerful partnership. Cleopatra and Caesar became lovers, and with his support, Cleopatra was able to reclaim her throne. But she didn't stop there. In 47 BC, Cleopatra gave birth to Caesar's son, Ptolemy XV, known as Caesarion. Cleopatra had secured her place in history not just as a ruler of Egypt, but as the mother of a potential heir to the Roman Empire. But even with this power, Cleopatra knew that her path wouldn't be easy. Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BC threw everything into chaos. Cleopatra had to find a new Roman ally, and this time it was Mark Antony. Mark Antony, a powerful Roman general and ally of Caesar, met Cleopatra in 41 BC. Their meeting was electrifying, and it wasn't long before they became lovers. They had 3 children together and formed an alliance that threatened to change the balance of power in the ancient world. The relationship between Cleopatra and Mark Antony was not just about love, it was political. Cleopatra wanted to ensure the survival of Egypt, and Mark Antony saw the alliance as a way to strengthen his own power against his rival, Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus. Together, they ruled over much of the eastern Mediterranean, including Egypt, and they became a force that seemed unstoppable. But there was one big problem: Octavian. Octavian, Julius Caesar's adopted son and the future first emperor of Rome, was determined to crush Cleopatra and Mark Antony's influence. He used their relationship as propaganda, painting them as traitors to Rome. The tension between Octavian and Antony reached its peak at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Cleopatra and Antony faced off against Octavian's forces in a naval battle off the coast of Greece. Unfortunately for Cleopatra and Antony, the battle was a disaster. Their fleet was defeated, and they were forced to retreat back to Egypt. Cleopatra and Antony's dreams of ruling the Mediterranean world were shattered. Mark Antony, in despair, committed suicide after believing that Cleopatra had already died. Not long after, Cleopatra followed suit. Her death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the end of Egypt's independence. Egypt was no longer a powerful, independent kingdom, but was now a province of the Roman Empire. The last pharaoh of Egypt, Cleopatra, had gone, and with her, the hope for a free Egypt. So, why do we still talk about Cleopatra today? What made her such an unforgettable figure in history? Cleopatra was not just a beautiful woman. She was a powerful, intelligent ruler who fought for her country until the very end. She was a woman who navigated the complex world of politics and used her charm and intellect to survive in a male-dominated world. She understood that to hold power, you needed to be more than just a ruler. You needed allies, and you needed to be smart enough to make them work in your favor. But what's even more fascinating is that Cleopatra's legacy isn't just about politics or her relationships with famous men like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. It's about how she has been portrayed over the centuries. In literature, art, and film, Cleopatra has been portrayed as both a seductress and a genius. Some see her as the ultimate symbol of beauty, while others focus on her political savvy and leadership. But no matter how she's viewed, one thing is clear. Cleopatra's impact on history cannot be denied. She was the last ruler of an ancient civilization that shaped the world in many ways. Egypt was one of the oldest and most advanced cultures in the ancient world, and Cleopatra was its last great ruler. She left behind a lasting legacy that still influences us today. Her story is a reminder that true power isn't just about military might or wealth. It's about influence, intelligence, and knowing how to play the game. Cleopatra may have been the last pharaoh of Egypt, but her story will live on forever. Thanks to her, we have an unforgettable glimpse into a world of kings, queens, and empires, where political alliances could change the course of history. And while Cleopatra may have died more than 2,000 years ago, she remains one of the most fascinating figures to ever walk the earth. So next time you think of Cleopatra, remember, she wasn't just the lover of powerful men or a beauty who captured the attention of the world. She was a ruler, a diplomat, and a genius who shaped the world as we know it. This is the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, a queen who changed history forever.